that before the board takes action on whether to consider the August 13th amended start date as opposed to the originally slated August 24th, that we have a public hearing so that the district can provide assurance that local input has been considered and that the exemption will be used to better serve students. So that is why we are here. Just to give you a little update, our calendar committee, which is made up of board member, faculty, staff, that was a unanimous vote on their part, and any of the local interviews, I think the last one was with Gretchen Bolander. I did also promote that we were having the hearing tonight, and it's been posted. So I don't know that we have anyone that has shown up to speak, but this is the time.
Are there any public comments this evening for our public hearing? There being none, do we have a move to adjourn to regular session?
So moved.
Thank you, Derek.
I'll second.
Thank you, Brian. It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn to our regular session meeting. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you all. So, welcome to our regular session meeting. Now I would ask Pat for a roll call.
Derek Mander.
Present.
Brent Jordan.
Present.
Dr. Debbie Ford. Present. Dr. Michael Joseph.
Here.
Sheriff Jamont.
I'm here. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. See it up there. That's just Thank you, everyone. And again, welcome. Has the board reviewed the agenda? I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Derek.
I'll second.
Thank you, Brian. It's been moved and seconded that we approve our agenda as presented. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That brings us to our reports. Our celebrations, we have several tonight, which is always great. There was an impressive showing at the COC Competitive Arts Show. Crowder College was all set to host this year's COC Competitive Arts Show before the campus was required to close. However, the judging was recently completed and JHS had an impressive showing. We see Anthony Fry, a JHS sophomore, first place in monochromatic drawing. Very cool, Anthony, great job. I wish I had some artistic talent. Janine Crawford, a Joplin High School senior. She received second place in mixed media for Ladybugs, very fun. Third place in color drawing, Sister with Fish. Multi-talented, good stuff. Jenna Lee Dunn, a Joplin High School sophomore, received second place in scratchboard pen and ink, titled Wrinkles of Wisdom. Very neat. Now we have our National Merit Scholarship Program. We've got a 2020 JHS graduate is the area's most recent recipient of a National Merit Scholarship. Annalise Voorhees is one of 2,500 students nationwide to be awarded a $2,500 scholarship to any regionally or accredited college or university in the U.S. Scholarship winners are judged on a combination of academic skills and achievements, extracurricular accomplishments, and potential for success in rigorous college studies. Samuel Peterson, also a 2020 JHS graduate, was named a National Merit Finalist in February. He is one of 15,000 students nationwide to earn this academic distinction. Great job, Annalise. Great job, Samuel. You've done us proud. Golden Apple Awards, good as gold. The Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce has recognized excellence in education by awarding Golden Apple Awards for the past 35 years. This year, 131 teachers were nominated for their professionalism and ability to inspire students to reach their potential. 3 outstanding Joplin Schools teachers were awarded Golden Apples. Tashina Vickers, South Middle School, 6th to 8th grade. Catherine Hargrove, Jefferson Elementary, 3rd to 5th grade. Aaron Snodgrass, Cecil Floyd Elementary, kindergarten to 2nd grade. Great job. Excellent in Education grants for 2020. The Joplin Schools Foundation has awarded 4 Excellence in Education grants to educators for the 2020-2021 school year. Lori Orr from McKinley Elementary, I Can Make Your Hands Talk, is a project intended to include the entire McKinley population. The goal of the project is to increase communication and inclusion between deaf, hard of hearing students, their peers, and teachers. Posters, videos, games, flashcards, and recess games will be used as teaching tools. Brian Hancock, Joplin High School, Geometry in the Real World, will help expand the study of geometry beyond a flat space. The Leonard spheres will broaden, I hope I didn't mispronounce that, will broaden students' knowledge of plane geometry to spherical geometry and enhance their problem-solving skills. Dave Welling and Michael Gurley, Joplin High School, the Gizmo Lab. This is an online program designed to be used by multiple grade level students. It encompasses earth science, physics, advanced physics, and principles of engineering. The program can be individualized for a student's grade level. And Robert Parson, Joplin High School, Within the Crowd. Very cool picture, Robert. This is a grant for fisheye lenses. This specialized lens will allow journalism students to take pictures that give a 3D effect. This curved lens will be used in crowds, team huddles, and other unique settings. The new lens will expand the students' creativity as they produce unique pictures. Congratulations to all these teachers and their innovative teaching methods. Great job. Senior Row. A group of generous sponsors came together and recognized this year's graduating class who were unable to experience a traditional senior year. Graduates from Joplin High School, McCauley, Thomas Jefferson, and College Heights were represented. The signs displayed the student's name and school and were displayed along Campbell Parkway. This was amazing, folks. I can't tell you how much those kids appreciated it. I have a graduate, and just finding their sign was fun amongst just the army of signs. They just went on forever. A lot of work went out to printing them, to putting them in the ground. Really inspiring and wonderful stuff, so we are appreciative. Same for the next entry here, our drive-through graduation. What fun that was. The Joplin High School graduates participated in a drive-through graduation on May 17th. Graduates paraded through the high school's main entrance and were welcomed and celebrated by teachers, administrators, and board members, and also just people. There were people there celebrating. The students received a keepsake charm and a certificate that read the class of 2020. Virtually the greatest class of all time, from the greatest high school in the universe. It sounds like Steve is with us right now. It just cracks me up. It shouldn't make me laugh. It's fantastic. So great stuff. And I have additional pictures here that I'm sure Eric is going to show us that show what a great job a lot of the kids and their parents did decorating their vehicles, just really celebrating the occasion. Turning lemons into lemonade. It was just a fantastic event, and we certainly appreciate all the effort of those who put forth their time to celebrate the graduation of the class of 2020. That brings us to our Safety and Security Committee. Dr. Ford, I don't mean to stumble into this, but I've got our notes that that Dr. Cichetto was kind enough to share with us, and it may be easier for me to go through them than you. But Lori and Debbie and I are on this committee with Dr. Cichetto and others, and it's an amazing committee, and I will try to deliver that report right now. Everybody buckle down because there's a lot of information here. It's really just fantastic what this committee does, and all I do is show up and hear about it. So we appreciate what they do. Jason Riddle, who is principal at McKinley, offered a presentation on the KID account system for assisting school officials and teachers with a safe way to admit approved visitors to the buildings, ensure students are accounted for after school with either riding home with a parent, bus, or staying after school programs, and to provide for a safer way to distribute kids to the car line after school to ensure the students get in the correct car. The Safe Car Line portion of the program is for all ages, but especially important for elementary age students. If anybody has any questions about what I'm reading through, please don't hesitate to ask. Our safety of our students is primary of importance to us, and Jason's presentation was excellent. This system is intended to basically make sure we know who's getting into our schools and delivering our kids safely to and from school. A safety audit is performed once every 2 years, and that's performed by Jim Hounshell. Jim outlined the projects identified in the report, and he summarized the major findings, which I'm about to go through. 19 school locations were visited during the audit. The purpose of the safety audit was to evaluate the facilities, grounds, and security practices at each school location, and to make necessary recommendations in order to help each school facility create the safest environment possible for students and staff. The following areas were reviewed during the safety audit: school grounds, traffic on and around school property, access control, monitoring and supervision of students, visitors in the school, interior security components, training, school emergency response teams and safety committees, communications. There are many things already in place. I want you guys to know about them. Our school grounds are groomed to allow good visual surveillance of all parts of the school campus. Our outside mechanical and electrical equipment are in protective enclosures. We have improved security with the purchase of security cameras for elementary schools. More about that in a minute. We have well-developed traffic plans for student drop-off and pickup that has been communicated with the parents at all schools. We have improved training for crossing guards. We have airlock entry systems at all schools except 2 for enhanced security at entrances, and all buzz-in systems are working properly. We have new and improved emergency 2-way radios at all locations and on buses with new and improved radio coverage. Intruder alert system. We have intruder alert systems in place at all schools for all personnel to be able to initiate a lockdown at the campus if necessary. We have some areas for improvement. We will always have areas for improvement. We can add a visitor management system in all schools. Currently, only Joplin High School has this type of system to background check visitors upon entrance. Again, this had a little bit to do with Principal Riddle's presentation. Add numbering systems at several schools on exterior doors for first responders so that they can know what exit is being referenced. Some crosswalks could be repainted. We have additional sidewalks that could improve pedestrian traffic in a few locations. A small number of gates need to be repaired and fences could be reinforced for security. We can improve the keyed locks for classrooms in a few schools and improve the access control to the roofs in a couple locations. So we have opportunities for improvement, which is great. If we didn't, we wouldn't be doing our jobs. Does anybody have any questions concerning the Board of Education Safety and Security Committee? Deb, you might have things that you'd want to add. I'm not sure, but I thought it'd be easier if I just read all that. I want to thank Dr. Saketa for providing me that information. It's a great synopsis. Every meeting that we have is full of a lot of information. A lot of effort and time is dedicated to this particular group, and I'm appreciative of it.
Sharon, I would like to add that what I appreciate over that is when people come into the school, they have to take the ID and automatically to make sure that they're not on the registry, print the label out, and then so everyone knows as well as the traffic pickup.
Thank you, Deb. You came in a little mumbled, but I know exactly what you were referring to. Dr. Fort was referencing this new system allows people to come in and present their identification and there is immediately a security check run on that person when they enter the building. And then there's a name tag that is immediately printed for them to wear so that people know that they're permitted to be in the buildings. It's really cool, and lots of stuff is going on to keep our kids safe. I didn't say everything that Deb did, but I hope that gives you a flavor. Keep going, Deb. Your audio sounded better later in what you were saying, so I may have missed something, but I think that was the gist of what you were talking about. Thank you. Enjoy that cookie. We see you up there. That's the benefit of Dr. Joseph not being on our screen. He's eating cookies and candy, but we don't know it.
I'm drinking beer.
Okay. Hey, this thing's on. Hey, this is being recorded. You need to be careful. Just for the record, Dr. Joseph's the guy that brings all the candy and doesn't eat any of it, so I'm sure he's not doing that. At any rate, that takes us to our Board of Education Finance Committee. That's another committee that I sit upon, along with Brent Jordan and Mike Joseph. I'm not sure, Brent was there, I know in virtual. Would you like to give this, or would you like
Dr. Joseph was also.
And Dr. Joseph was there. We had two of us. I was there, and I ignore the virtual people. I was there just staring at the administrators delivering the information. But Brent, would you like to take some of that?
Well, I don't know that I have a lot to offer other than Dr. Langford talked extensively about the budget and some of the concerns going into next year with the way things have been the last several months, and then of course focused on the teacher salaries and the increase. And so, and I know he's going to go over that later. So that's the major, the focus of that. So
It's great. Mike, did you have anything you'd want to add to Brent's report?
Well, I think that it's important, that we continue to narrow the gap with the teacher salaries, that compared to West City, Carl, West City, and Carthage, Neosho, we need to, move up and get closer to the top. And I think we're doing that. It's been kind of gradual, but I think, things are looking better. And then the fact that our employment's improved and our retention's better, I think it's all looking positive.
I agree. Thank you. That was part of what I was going to share, is closing the gap with those that we might have been lagging behind. And, it's a step transaction. We're getting stronger and stronger, and I can sense our district doing so. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Brent. Does anybody have any questions concerning either of those committees? If not, I'll then send it over to Dr. Moss for our superintendent's data report.
And included in that is our health insurance and dental care insurance reports. Dr. Langford?
I'm going to pass this to Shelley, and then Jamie's also will be talking a little bit more about the health program later. But Shelley's going to talk about the finance there.
Okay, the Health and Dental Fund continues to kind of track as we've expected. So far, for the first 10 months, we've spent $5,204,012.80, or 70.23% of our total budget. Our balance at the end in the health fund was $5,568,596.87 at the end of April, which was about $117,000 less than this time last year. The dental fund had a balance at the end of April of $362,372.53, which was about $35,000 less than this time last year. And of course, we are expecting that to continue to decline. So this month, if you kind of looked at the report and saw that there's maybe a slight increase in the dentals because we start collecting on the 9-month employees, we start collecting that extra month for their summer premiums. So I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions concerning our health and dental plan update?
Okay, ready for the next one?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay. Financial statements, Dr. Langford.
Again, I always go back to that single page that gives the snapshot version for all the other pages that follow. And what we monitor very closely where we were this time last year relative to expenses, revenue, and we even do a cash comparison, so to know how things are going. As of April 30th, the district continues to be going along as we had budgeted. If you look down on the expense side, you might notice that the incidental fund shows more expenditures percentage-wise and dollar-wise compared to last year. Part of that is to do with the budget scrub that we did, and we started taking some expenses that had been charged over in our special education program as far as federal monies and moving it from the teacher's fund into the incidental fund. So we're not really surprised there. Our overall, though, we feel good. You notice in the capital projects fund, we've just blown the top off of it, but that's simply because we paid off those bonds. And we saved some money doing that. And it was really a good call for us to do that, and it was good for the people that were holding the bonds because they probably got a chance to invest them before it went to nothing a little bit later. So it saved us some money and probably made Bank of America some money, even though that was not our intent. It was to stop the interest. And if you look at last year, we were well under that, but we had a June payment that we would have been making, so that would have raised the expenditures there. I will tell you that going into when you see this next month, because we did see a cut in state revenue, I think I incorrectly said 573 in the Thursday memo. It was $537,000 reduction because of the shift of the state adequacy target. We have every reason, we're not really pleased, but we think that we would probably see some more cuts in state funding. So we think that the cash from the state will be less than it will be because they simply have gotten to the point you can't give water out of the bucket if there's no water in the bucket, and that's where they are with it. So the next balance sheet is May 31st. Well, probably not quite. We won't feel as good as we do with the April 30th one, and the one come June 30th. We believe that we will see some trends downward in state revenue. But we've been anticipating that since this thing has come along, and I was probably the one that was saying we're going to get cut, and a lot of people around the state were saying no, they're telling us we won't, but it's coming out we're going to get cut because the money's just simply not there. But overall, the financial situation of the school district is strong. If you remember last year, our Fund 1 and 2 balance was strong, and then we continue to monitor the cash. And there are some expenses that we've seen reduction in this year simply because we didn't have school from March 12th forward. So we will have some cash. And as a result of that, we have made the decision, we will reflect that in the revised budget. There were some things that we were planning to pay next year that were just some one-time expenditure left. We're going to pay them this year just to get them out of the way so that they won't be skewing next year's budget upward. And it was money we're going to have spent, so what difference does it make to spend it on June 30th or July the 1st? It's all in one. So at the present time, Joplin Schools' financial situation is strong. We're not happy that we're seeing the decrease in state funding, but the reality of the situation, we're not immune to that, just like many have found they're not immune to getting sick. So I'd be glad to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions of Dr. Langford? I don't believe we have any public comments. Thank you, Pat. That moves us to our consent agenda. If I have a motion to approve. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Brent. It's been moved and seconded that we approve our consent agenda as presented. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. That takes us to our regular agenda. Revision of the 2020-2021 school calendar. Ms. Mwangi.
Yes, thank you. As a result, our public hearing here previous before this meeting, it would be our recommendation as we considered through the calendar committee the ability to move the start date of school from August 24th to August 13th. The only effect to the calendar is the start and end date, as well as the fall parent-teacher conference, which would be moved up essentially a week. Everything else from the originally approved calendar would remain the same, with the start date of August 13th, teachers reporting on the 10th.
Thank you, Ms. Mwangi. Does anybody have any questions of Ms. Mwangi concerning this calendar matter? I would have a comment because we had a hearing without comments, and I did receive some pushback from our community that said they wanted school to remain later because they thought that we did so well through the coronavirus pandemic, and that the teachers were seemingly doing their jobs, their students were doing their jobs, so they were basically telling me that we handled that successfully, which I consider a minor victory. I think I responded by telling them what I had heard and discussed with Dr. Moss, and that was a lot of us want to get kids back in school. There's a desire to get them back to school sooner than later, which is one reason to have school, the calendar pushed back earlier in August. Another is, it offers us more flexibility because we don't know what may happen this fall as it relates to COVID-19. And something that might occur gives us more flexibility if we start earlier rather than compress us later in the year. And the other thing, if I recall what I was told by Dr. Moss, which made a whole lot of sense to me, all of the things she told me made sense, and that's the reason I'm able to remember them without having written them down, is it created more balance on either side of the year. You have a more balanced fall semester and a more balanced spring semester. And so that's what I shared with my constituents that contacted me, and I suspect that's why you had a unanimous vote in your committee as to why we're going earlier rather than not. And I hope that our community is aware of that it was thoughtfully considered, and it really makes great sense, and I appreciate the confidence that the person that contacted me gave me, that saying that everything was positive. I can tell you it wasn't all positive at my house, but I'm glad it was at hers. So our kids do better when they're in school, I think, and so let's get them there. Any comments?
I agree with that.
I would just mention this revision would also move our start date to a Thursday as opposed to the original Monday of the 24th. I know that was something that the calendar committee discussed in length upon the initial proposal of the calendar. So moving it back to not starting on a Monday is definitely a win for us, especially as we prepare for fall.
Eases us back in. Deb?
Very much in favor of the calendar decision. High school is very important for the high school that we have every semester. The only concerns that was expressed to me were families that called the scheduled vacations, like maybe the back in August, were non-refundable. I told them to take the vacation.
Deb, I'm going to interrupt you because you're kind of breaking up. Deb brought up something I failed to, and that is this person not only was talking about the success that they had in the virtual learning, but they were worried about interfering with family vacations that had been scheduled later than previously, and that was a great point, and thank you for bringing it up, Dr. Ford. Again, we're trying to balance all things, and that is an important consideration, and I appreciate you bringing it up, and we're sorry if we're causing any interference with that time off together as a family. It's been a very, very strange year, and it's going to continue for a while. Dr. Ford, if you've got anything more, you were breaking up, but you really good point. Oh, she's good. Thank you very much. With that, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Derek.
I'll second.
Thank you, Brent. It's been moved and seconded. We approve this revision to our 2020-2021 school calendar. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. That brings us to the agreement between Joplin Schools and the JNEA. It's an action item. Mr. Crawford.
Yeah, so pursuant to the Board of Education Policy HA, the district began negotiations with the JNEA. The district recognizes that the union is the exclusive bargaining representative of the teachers, counselors, and librarians. The purpose of the negotiations was to come to a tentative agreement on wages, benefits, and other economic terms and conditions of employment. I would say that my experience being new to this process, that we're lucky to have a good and positive relationship with our unions here in Joplin. And actually, I believe that's due to a lot of hard work. And so I'm pleased to announce that the negotiation process was not a difficult one, nor was it adversarial. And that's not true of all places, and that's to both parties' benefit. And I think that speaks well of our staff and of our unions. And so with that, I would invite Crystal Stokes to come forward, please, as a representative of JNEA.
Welcome.
Again, my name is Crystal Stokes. I am a teacher at North Middle School, and I am the chief negotiator for Joplin NEA, and representing teachers, counselors, and librarians. We had a wonderful, it started off face-to-face, but then we had to use, virtual meeting, and it went wonderful. So if anyone had any questions, we had our ratification on May 12th. It was 100%. So if you have any questions or comments, you're welcome to ask, but we're excited for the next school year.
Thank you for being here this evening. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I take that as a positive.
I do too. I want you to know in closed session, we discussed this some because we knew it would be an action item this evening, and Justin made everything public that was spoken in private. It seems like things, negotiation between our school district and our union are great, and we want to keep it that way. We're doing everything we can to meet the needs of all of our constituents. So we're very pleased that this negotiation was successful. I will entertain a motion to approve the superintendent or her designee to sign the agreement with the Joplin National Education Association as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Derek.
I'll second.
Thank you, Brian. It's been moved and seconded we approve this signature.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry we didn't get to wrestle with you more or anything. This brings us to the agreement between the Joplin schools and JESP.
So with JESP, it's a similar process. Other than that, we have our agreements where we alternate. And so this year with JESP, rather than it being language in the agreement, it was basically just salary schedules, and we negotiated a tentative agreement with compensation. And so I might, Dr. Langford, do you want to speak to any of the portions of the salary schedules?
Well, that next item 4,
You want to wait till that?
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we've got that coming up.
Yeah, we'll wait till that. So I would just like to add that also with JESP is that we have a wonderful relationship with our union. An example of that would be our labor management committee that we meet every other month to try to head off issues before they maybe fester or they get to a position that we have to address them a different way. And so we come together and meet with Dr. Saketa and the directors and with the union as well. They had also a unanimous vote for that. Charles and Sherry are usually here. They aren't able to be here tonight, but our labor management committee is once again something unique to Joplin that I understand is not necessarily true across the state, and so it's something unique to us that we have a relationship and a working pattern that we can work with our staff and our unions in a way to solve problems together to make Joplin the best place that we can for both our students and our staff. So we would recommend that the board approve and sign the agreement with the Joplin Education Support Professionals and present the current agreement with the attached salary schedules.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Does anybody have any questions regarding this agenda item? I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Derek.
I will second.
Thank you, Brent. This makes things easier for Pat. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That takes us to our salary schedules and other salary adjustments for the 2020-2021 school year. Dr. Langford and
So in
again,
hearing-
Mr. Crawford.
In hearing what Justin indicated, you guys were given those salary schedules, so they now have been approved based on that action, correct?
Correct.
So just a discussion, you have every salary schedule that we've approved here tonight. And, it ranges from teacher salary schedules to those that are covered by the negotiations. And then we have some who are not covered by the negotiations. And they would be in addition to those. And what we did is we took the current salary schedules that we were using and we added one step so that if anybody was sitting at the top level, for instance, the teachers had 31 years, they now have 32. Any of these salary schedules, wherever they were last year, we added one more year. So those who are on the top, which those are really a very small percentage of our staff are at the top level, but no one's stuck. They have been on the teacher salary schedule for the past several years. They've moved forward, so they get the step. We did an across the board on the teachers, $246. And then we did similar adjustments to all other salary schedules. We do not have an index system that gives the same percentage across the board because those tend over time to weight so much, it costs so much to give the ones at the top, there's nothing left on the beginning salary. So it gives us a little bit better opportunity. The school district, whether it's in your teaching staff or your support staff, their success depends a whole lot on being able to attract and retain. So that's why you've got to have good beginning salaries that are competitive, and that's why you have to have be able to retain because your salary schedules reach up. One of the things that Joplin did back about 13 years ago, they limited how far you could go down the salary schedule, and we've been moving those steps down in the first two columns on the teacher salary. This didn't apply to the support staff, but on the teacher's salary, we've been moving those. We've also been increasing each year by 1 year the number of years that could be brought in. So we're doing some things to help the school district's ability to attract those good teachers. We've made progress, as Dr. Joseph had indicated, we've made progress. If we compare to Webb City, to Carthage, to Carl Junction, to Neosho, and to McDonald County, and we choose those because they are similar to our size or either in our conference. And there are some areas we're ahead, there are some areas where we're there, and there are some areas where we're behind. And the Joplin School District, being in the economic center, that we have people that aren't choosing to go somewhere else simply because they can make more money. And when you look at the teacher salary schedules, there's no teacher that's really getting rich by being a school teacher. So we're pleased. If we had done this back in February, the way the thing was running, the salary schedule the last couple of years, we've been able to add $1,000 to the base. 3 years ago, they weren't able to do that. A year prior to that, they added it, but the insurance cost went up, so it basically consumed all the increase. Well, we've kind of done some work, and Jamie will be speaking here a little bit, but with what we've been trying to do to hold the cost and have some good management of our health fund, we feel like that right now we're feeling very good about where we are with our finances so that any new salary will go in the form of compensation to our teachers. If you just threw out a number and no teacher can go in and say, oh, I got 1.5%. But if we look at the average of all the steps in all of our salary schedules, about a 1.5% adjustment with their step and any adjustment to the salary schedule is what is reflected here. So I probably
Thank you,
said a
Doctor.
lot and didn't say too much, but
No, you said what needed to be said, I think. I hope everybody was listening and understood. You know, in today's newspaper, we see published reports of the board taking under consideration a pretty significant increase to the district, and it is. And it means probably not a whole lot individually to the teachers, but it's a big deal. And we're trying to make sustainable, supportable increases to attract and retain our teachers. And it's a challenge in a big district like we have. It's expensive to do what we want to do, and we're trying to be good stewards of our resources. And so I appreciate Dr. Langford's leadership and the rest of his team and Dr. Moss and everyone. I hope that they know that we are making our best efforts to be as competitive a district as we can be. I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that the board approve the attached salary schedules, operation of the salary schedules, and increases for employees not currently placed on a salary schedule for the 2020-2021 school year. Is there any further discussion? Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. That brings us to our basic and voluntary life insurance and ancillary benefits. Mr. Crawford.
So our voluntary benefits program are commonplace among large employees that allow us to develop benefit packages that suit our employees' needs. Competitive insurance and ancillary benefits are the key to recruitment and retention of high-quality staff. So Jamie's here tonight. She's been here with us before, and she understands this a lot better than I do and can speak to it a lot better, so I'll just turn it over to you.
All right, thank you. And I believe Eric has a presentation he's going to pull up for us, if it'll pop up there. So I'm Jamie Brummett from Barker Phillips Jackson. I've met with you many times when we come in and talk about the medical and the ancillary benefits. So when we say ancillary, we mean everything but health insurance. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If you want to go to the next slide. We just have a few slides here. I promise it won't be too long. We're going to talk about what we did as far as the marketing process to bring competitive bids to the district, and then the basic life insurance, dental, vision, and everything else. So on the next slide, BPJ has been the agent for the district for the medical, dental, vision, all of those benefits for quite some time. But your basic and voluntary life insurance was under a direct contract with a company called OCHS. You worked directly with them. And that relationship has been in place for 3 years. Earlier this year, the district named BPJ as the agent for that as well, to help with this marketing process with getting you competitive bids and bringing you some options to the table. So we did that, and we also marketed all of your ancillary benefits at the same time. We sent it out to 10 carriers to quote the entire benefits package. So on the employer-paid basic life insurance, you have very, very good rates currently, just so you know. OCHS, it's hard for me to call them OX. The name just seems weird. It seems more like an acronym or something. But anyway, OX has offered you guys great rates. On this slide up here, you can see the closest competitors, which MetLife was $14,000 a year more than OX was. You had some pretty high claims with OX over the last couple of years, so we were anticipating a high renewal, but they gave you a rate hold. So you have a rate hold at a very low rate of $17,000, and what that is, it offers the basic life insurance to all full-time employees of the district. That's paid for by the district for them. So it's a wonderful benefit and able to keep that at a steady rate for the district going forward. The voluntary life insurance, so this is one that's been, whether you guys know or not, a bit more of a struggle for the district. The program that you had in place, there wasn't guaranteed issue. So if you've been an employee of the district for 20 years and you wanted to purchase some life insurance, it wasn't approved. It wasn't a guaranteed issue amount. It was a very paper process, very complicated. So again, we took this out to market. We requested a guaranteed issue for employees, for spouses, for children, just so that employees of the district could get something, even if they had a medical condition, that they're not going to be asked any medical questions for the guaranteed issue amount. So again, we went to market. We had some other options come in, but OX, where you are currently, offered to hold your rates for 3 years. They increased the guaranteed issue for new hires from what was $250,000 up to $300,000. So that's new employees to the district. And I will tell you, the average that we see is $100,000 guaranteed issue for a new hire. So that is very generous for a new hire to offer in your benefits package. But what they're really, the big thing that we were fighting for is at open enrollment. Any employee of the district can elect $50,000 of coverage and not be turned down and not have to answer any medical questions. Their spouses will be able to purchase up to $10,000 worth of coverage, and then the children are guaranteed issue as well. And that's something the district's never been able to offer. So that's great, and OX is holding your rates as they are currently, so there's no increase in rates. Okay. And then on the dental plan, we again went out to market. We had a lot of companies that wanted to compete and come in to bid on your dental plan. As you'll remember, when Shelley was talking about your dental account and the money going down, so I want to remind you that you guys had made that decision to take the district paid dental from being self-funded last year to being fully insured. So the premiums are paid from that fund, that surplus that you had. So MetLife came in with a rate hold, but I was able to negotiate with them and got that down to a 5% decrease. So we reduced that even further, and that's for the district paid and the employee paid. So the district is going to save, but the employees are as well. So on the next slide, and I won't go into a lot of detail on this, But the savings to the district, just on the district's portion, is $7,500 a year. So it's not huge, but it helps us to keep that fund going even longer, and thought that was really great with MetLife. And then you can see on the voluntary, so for employees who are paying to have their dependents on the plan, they're saving money on their premiums as well. Okay. And on the vision plan, again, a lot of carriers responded. MetLife came in with a rate hold, but again was able to negotiate them to reduce that by 5% as well. So the vision is paid for 100% by the employees, but their rates are going to go down. So they're going to see some savings in their pockets in this upcoming year. All of the additional benefits, so just for your knowledge, you offer short-term disability, long-term disability, accident, cancer, critical illness. All of those are going to be a rate hold. With MetLife, no change in the premiums on any of those benefits for your employees. And on this final slide that we have here is about open enrollment. So when we came in as BPJ, we brought in a tool called Employee Navigator that we use for the district. Rather than everybody having to fill out a form, they go online. They make their elections online. Makes enrollment a lot smoother for both the employees, the district, and getting it over to the carriers. And we at BPJ offer that at no cost to the district. We are going to be using that for life insurance this year. So we're getting away from all of the paper forms for life insurance. We think more employees are going to want to enroll. They've got the guaranteed issue. It's going to be easy for them to enroll and to see what's available to them. So we're going to be using that this year as well. Any additional questions you guys may have?
Saving money.
Holds and going lower is unheard of. So really appreciate the work that you put in to help our employees and the district save money. That's not where healthcare is going, so great job.
Well, thank you. And we're hopeful, I know Becky's been talking to me, the next board meeting is June 22nd. We are hopeful to have the medical information ready to present by that time. We're really pushing them to get that in before the next board meeting from you guys.
So if there's no questions, the administration recommends that the Board of Education approve the proposed life insurance and auxiliary insurance plans as presented.
Thank you, Justin.
So moved.
I'll
Derek?
second.
Brent? It's been moved and seconded that we do what Justin said we ought to do. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Should I be more professional on some of this stuff? That brings us to our accounts payable.
Well, every month, we roll around and we pay some bills, and we're paying it again this month. And again, I like to go back and make sure that we're tracking very similarly to what we've done in the past. And for some reason, last year at this time, the total bills that the board saw at the May board meeting were $11 million. Today, they're $7 million. Does that mean we're $4 million better off? No, it's just the way the payrolls fall and the way the check writing. But it appears to me that our payments this last month that we're asking you to approve, and those that we will be sending out tomorrow, we do write some checks that are normal business items and pay those, but the checks that we're asking you to approve, we believe are well in line with what we budgeted and are in line with what our expending plan was.
Thank you, Dr. Langford. Does anybody have any questions of Dr. Langford concerning our accounts payable? I would entertain a motion to approve payment of bills in the amount of $7,023,486.17.
Let's pay our bills.
I'll second.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Brent. It's been moved and seconded that we approve our accounts payable. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
On to next.
Yeah.
Then transfer.
See Deb, since we were
Yes.
just screen share.
That was successful. There she is.
This
Yeah. Let me see your computer.
That moves us to our funds transfer authority, Dr. Langford.
Yes, every year, we have the opportunity to transfer money, state funding from the foundation formula over to the capital projects fund. And this is nothing new. We took a little bit different strategy from what had been being done. And there were some things that we would have had the option, and I don't want to go into a lot of technical details, but whether we want to call it local effort or state effort is why we did this last year. But for instance, the M&M's revenue and in lieu of had not been going into the capital projects fund. So we took those things and the intangible tax, M&M, and in lieu of last year, and we're doing it again this year, we placed those into the capital projects fund. We also got from the state an amount of $3,623,000 and change that we could transfer. So we came in and we said we're going to back out those three items. Plus, if you remember last year, we placed a very small amount of our levy in the capital projects fund. And part of that was to enhance some revenue in railroad and utilities tax. So we did that, and that has helped us. So we are saying tonight that we would ask the board's approval, and this is tentative because I'm here to tell you that this amount now, the transfer, will be less. I cannot tell you what it will be because we do not yet know what the foundation formula. And if they withhold, the money that's been withheld to this point was withheld from the classroom trust fund, but we will get a new number. If they withhold state funding, which we believe they will, the beginning number will be less than 3. So we're saying not to exceed this amount. We're wanting the board's approval for us to continue to make this transfer, and it may well be, if there's a significant thing, we would come back to the next board meeting, but that's going to be hard because we're not real sure what that adequacy target's going to be. So we're not going to do any more than what we are allowed by the state. They calculate that beginning number. We will back out these other revenues from that.
You're asking us to approve the equation.
Yes.
Is that correct?
And to approve us making a transfer of those funds. And we have to state, why we're doing it, and it's to take care of the capital needs in the next school year and the years thereafter.
Thank you, Dr. Langford. Does anybody have any questions of Dr. Langford concerning his recommended fund transfer authority?
I move that we transfer funds from the incidental fund to the capital funds in not to exceed 1.3 million, as Dr. Langford described.
I'll second that motion.
I'd like to apologize to Pat for reversing the first movement and second movement, but I believe it is as effective.
I was parched, I'm sorry.
Derek was parched. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
In case people were taking score at home, I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, you got to put that lay up
I
in
needed
there.
a W.
That brings us to our school photography bid, which I do not envy Ms. Mwangi. I looked at her spreadsheet and my eyes began bleeding.
She has done an extremely
Oh my
thorough
gosh.
job.
Well, believe it or not, in spite of our wellness break, school must continue to prepare for the following school year. So in the midst of that was our school photography bid. We put that out, receiving bids in the end of April. We received 4 bids. That is something we look at every 5 years. This particular bid covers preschool through 11th grade, fall and spring photos, as well as the elementary memory books. And what I will tell you is this is definitely not a simple black and white process because there's a lot of overlapping, there's a lot of extra pieces to consider. So there was a small group that we kind of dug into it and reviewed each proposal. From there, we were able to make contacts. We did some reference checks with other districts. We evaluated what they presented both on paper as well as some qualitative work with that. And what we are bringing to you this evening is a shift from our current vendor to a new vendor, Wagner Portrait Group. Wagner is one of the largest portrait groups in the state of Missouri. They are a strong supporter of Missouri Public Schools. Had a great conversation as late as last Friday evening with Mr. Wagner about this particular bid. And I think the price point of where we're starting is really important to note. So we are looking at starting our price packages at $8. So especially during this time, I think that's even more advantageous for us to consider as we go through that. So there's some extra little incentives for the schools as well that we will benefit from. Some neat things that we may not have received previously that we will be able to offer our principals and within our schools. So this evening, through a series of several meetings and some contacts, I would recommend that the district approve Wagner Portrait Group as the school photographer for next school year with the option to renew for 4 additional years.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody have any questions concerning the photography bid? I would entertain a motion to approve. This is not an insurance renewal.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the school photography bid of Wagner. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. That brings us to airtime for Joplin High School. Dr. Saketa.
With the purchase of the Chromebooks, we had mentioned earlier that we were going to have to alter how we get the signal to the televisions in the high school. And Eric's going to tell you a little bit more about that. The Apple TVs that we have pretty much run on Apple only. And so we want to make sure that the Chromebooks and whatever the teachers are using to get that information up there is accessible. So Eric, you want to talk to him about it?
Yeah, this, with the AirTame, it allows multiple devices that hook up to it. So it can be Apple, it can be Windows, or Mac, it can be Windows, or it can be the Chromebook. And so even with people coming from out of district, they'll be able to use our projectors and stuff within the high school without having us to do anything special there also. And with us moving to the Chromebooks at the high school, this is definitely good for this.
Are the Apple TVs then surplus, or are they?
We'll have to take a look at that, and if we can't use them anywhere else, then we'll probably surplus them and try to sell them.
Well, it looks like the airtime bid was significantly less than their competitors. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Derek.
I'll second.
Thank you, Brent. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the airtime bid for Joplin High School. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, that brings us to our iPad Pro Lab for Joplin High School digital art course. Again, Dr. Saketa.
Well, this was another concern we had as we moved to the Chromebooks. We want to make sure that each department that needed a specific type of device that would enhance what's going on in that department, that we were able to address that. And you may have seen the commercials recently with iPad Pro with the enhanced camera and everything that goes with it and the other capabilities that it has. And Eric will tell you a little bit more about that. But our art department, we were going to upgrade and get them some iPads of some kind to make sure that they had what they needed. And Seth Orshorndel and his folks there decided that the iPad Pro would best suit their needs for what they're trying to do. And you saw some of the creativity or heard about it earlier that our art students have. And they did a virtual show here not too long ago, and I was blown away with what they had done. So their creativity of the iPad Pro for the art classes is very important. If there's anything else that he has.
Thank you, Eric. Eric gives us the thumbs up. This is a single vendor bid. There is one Apple. So does anybody have any questions concerning this agenda item? Again, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Derek.
I will second.
And Brent. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the iPad Pro Lab for JHS Digital Art Course. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, that brings us to our plus deltas. Dr. Moss.
Well, I have many, and I know that Ms. Mwangi mentioned in her presentation about the photo bid that even though the wellness break took place, business has to go on. And I would say that it has been anything but a break for the people sitting around this table. And I just want to take a moment to brag on this team. I know that many long nights and late hours were spent. I can just go around and name technology with the surveying and the deployment of devices and trying to ensure that internet access was considered, and the learning packets and all the things that technology has done extra at this time as we're transitioning to the Chromebooks, and a heavy work lift anyway, but also then what the wellness break brought on with that. And then we look at finance and with COVID-related expenditures and new coding requirements and so much that went with that. They were up here every day with good, cheerful attitudes and working late. I don't think there was a time I came in that Shelley's light was not already on in the morning and was still going strong when I would leave in the evening. Sarah, like as I said earlier, her summer enrollment handbook has gone viral. They're sharing it across the state. I really think Joplin is leading the way right now in seeing what we're going to do with summer school. And I've had many superintendents on Zoom meetings say, we're watching Joplin to see how it goes. So it's good to be out in front of the pack every once in a while. And I think it's been well thought out. Again, our health department has worked closely with us to review our plans for disinfecting. And I see Dave Pettit in the back, and he's done a Herculean task to organize what's all this extra cleaning going to look like. How can we get ahead on summer maintenance projects because of the wellness break? And just finding PPE and all of those things that are hard to find right now in short supply. So his team is working hard. Dr. Saketa has worked alongside food service, building and grounds, tech, all the things that he is over to ensure that the show goes on and that we're doing it well and we're anticipating for the fall. And then we've had 100% ratifications for our agreements, and as we heard from Crystal, and Justin's been right in there working with them, and that shows the level of trust that we're working very hard to build. And I just want to say, this is a team of rock stars, and I throw it all right back on them because they've been incredible during this time, and just can't say enough.
Thank you, Dr. Moss. Yeah, please do.
Absolutely.
I appreciate all the hard work you guys have done. When I heard we were going to have summer school, I did reach out to Dr. Eric Martin, who is a local physician who has been in New York treating COVID. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And so I just wanted his opinion since he has seen some things we have not seen. And I shared with him all of the precautions that we're taking in summer school. And he thought that was great. He did ask me to extend that, continue communicating with the health department and go ahead and put a plan in place for if and when in the fall we see a positive case come out of the school district, have a plan in place prior to that for testing people. Maybe, health department may not be able to handle it, so have a plan in place that works with the health department and the local hospitals on testing. So he's just, he encouraged me to share, let's be proactive, and I think we've done a great job of doing that, but he encouraged me to share, be thinking to the fall, winter, and have that plan in place before and get something, a positive case should happen in the school. So I wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. And hopefully with the earlier start date, it gives us more flexibility for those contingency plans if we should see another spike as we get into the winter.
I'd like to thank the folks at Jet HD TV for providing us with a virtual graduation opportunity. Brad and his team did a great job of putting together an almost like being there experience for everyone, and so really appreciate his time and effort. And again, Steve Gilbreth's efforts in making sure that these high school seniors have a graduation that they will remember, I think, mission accomplished. So thank you to that. Any deltas? Can we be negative about things tonight? Had a lot of rain lately.
Yeah.
Yes.
How about that? Okay.
No pun intended when you talk about a delta.
That's right.
Yeah, a delta.
A delta, that's right. That's why they call it a delta. Okay.
Well,
with that, I would,
one more thing.
please, go ahead.
We cannot let this meeting adjourn without mentioning that next Tuesday, is a very special day for our community.
Yep, June 8th, I apologize. It's
June 2nd.
June 2nd. I don't know why I'm saying June 8th. June 2nd is a very important day for us to ask our community to come out and support the efforts of a long-term facilities committee that did a yeoman's job of looking at all of our facilities in our district and identifying our greatest needs and putting those needs into a plan that this Joplin Schools Board unanimously supported. We ask for your support as we go forward to ask for a no tax increase to our current bonds, which are 10% below comparative districts of our size as they sit, and we hope will continue to sit, so that we can get the kids out of trailers, so that we can put what is needed at Kelsey Norman Elementary School. We can put what is needed on Dover Hill to basically provide the needed space for our kids at West Central and Columbia. And we recognize the emotion that we all face in change and breaking from tradition. But these facilities have served us well, kind of, for 90 years. These last few years, it's been a real strain on us. We have an opportunity to fix things in a time where we need to put people to work to improve our lives. And that's what we are asking as a school board, that the public vote and that they support our initiative for a no tax increase to our bonds. Does anybody else have anything to add to what I just said?
I don't know that you can. Well said, Sherrick. I appreciate that.
Well, I hope that everybody will get out there and vote and support our kids and our teachers and our community, because there is an economic impact to improving our school districts. It attracts people to our community. We are on the upswing. Let's keep it going. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
I'll second.
I'm going to give the delay to
Very
Dr.
good.
Joseph, because that was traveling through
Touche.
the inner world for probably 4 seconds. And that gives Derek the second, because Brent tried to bring the first and he was late. Please vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, thank you all for being here. We're adjourned.